the gas station, it would either be westbound or eastbound on both of those streets in those tables. So there was some confusion about that, and I wanted to know if the numbers that
Mr. James, your time is up. Please.
Yeah.
Conclude.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. James. I don't know if at this point in time we need to address some of those items. He did mention specific items around the traffic study. If there's somebody could clarify that terminology around the to from and what that indicates for those trips.
Certainly. So when we say to from the north on Highway 29, for example, that means you're coming either southbound on Highway 29 or northbound on Highway 29 between Napa Junction Road and Highway 12, for instance. To from the east on American Canyon Road would be either westbound on American Canyon Road towards Highway 29 or eastbound away from Highway 29. So it's just how we designate both the inbound and outbound trips from a specific origin or destination.
Thank you very much. I don't know, gas suppliers, that's something you would like to share, Mr. Hellstrom?
Yeah, I can actually answer that.
Okay.
Our intention is to be Circle K branded fuel.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I think the locations we've addressed already, and I don't know about the legacy properties. I mean, property owners generally prefer a long lease if they're going to establish a property. So I don't know if there's anything that we can do around that on the properties that are currently exist in the city of American Canyon. Ms. Jones, is there another public comment?
Yes, we have Valerie from the Chamber of Commerce. Valerie, I'm asking you to unmute yourself.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. I just have a letter that I would like to read on behalf of the American Canyon Chamber of Commerce. I just want to state by saying thank you to Ross for putting together a great presentation. He's also taken the time to reach out to the chamber, get in touch with what our needs are, what we're doing for our community, and he is really interested in participating and being part of the American Canyon community and helping out the Chamber of Commerce. So we greatly appreciate that support. I'm just going to proceed on with reading the letter. Hello, Planning Commissioners. The American Canyon Chamber of Commerce would like to let you know where we stand on the following project located at 112 Lombard Road. It is planned construction of service station and convenience store. 2020 has been a very interesting and difficult year for everyone. The business and commerce world suffered much difficulty during the COVID-19 pandemic. We believe that this property construction and business will deliver some much needed business support to the community. We feel this can serve as a nice economic complement to the community. The project and business will deliver jobs, sales tax, property tax increases, and business activity that the west side of Broadway needs. As you know, Highway 29 is a major geographic landmark that runs through the middle of American Canyon. Having a convenience store service station southbound on Highway 29 adds value to the commute drivers and residents of American Canyon. Thank you for your consideration. We at the American Canyon Chamber of Commerce are in support of this project. Thank you very much. My name is Valerie Zizek-Moraes, President CEO, and I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you. Anybody else, Ms. Jones?
Yes, we have R. Hagan. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, please.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to comment. Speaking in support of this project, I think Mr. Hillesheim and his group have put together a well thought out project that addresses all the needs of the community. I'm not a resident of American Canyon, but as a North Bay commuter, often staring down, rolling the dice of whether to get on Highway 37 with less than a quarter of a tank and whether I'm going to be sitting there for an hour, it definitely would relieve some anxiety to have another service station on the southbound side of Highway 29 and not having to cross over 29 and make those additional crossings. I think Circle K's are great facilities, and speaking in favor of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hagan. Ms. Jones?
Yes, we have Monroe Westfall. I have asked you to unmute yourself, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, hi, my name's Tyler Westfall, and I'm a commuter from the East Bay coming up into Napa, as well as St. Helena on a daily basis for work. I think that Mr. Hillesheim has put together a great plan that addresses the needs of the city as well as commuters like myself. I think that the project aesthetically would be great for American Canyon, as well as the added tax and jobs it would provide for the city. I think I speak similarly to the last caller that the added gas option southbound on 29 would be, greatly needed. So I'm in favor of the project.
Thank you, Mr. Westfall. Next, Ms. Jones.
We have a caller. I am going to go ahead and ask you to unmute yourself, caller, and please identify yourself for the record. Caller, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Are you there, caller?
Yes.
There you
Yes.
go.
Hi, Commissioner Golf. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, this is Michael McCrary. Again, I was actually on the last call. I represent 9 family members in the Napa Valley, and we're up in St. Helena and Browns Valley. And on this gas station, I'm really impressed with the developer who wants to put the bike tools. I've never seen that at a gas station. I'm an avid cyclist. Well, I used to do 100-mile races before I had a bad crash in winters, but I mostly mountain bike. But it's very hard to find somewhere to get your bike fixed, especially when you get a flat tire or just having some tools. So I was really impressed. And I really feel he's trying to help the community be better. And our valley just got impacted horrifically by the fires. I know several people who've lost their homes. And we're in the middle of a pandemic and a recession, and we need jobs. Yes, I know these are not the highest paying jobs, but these are jobs. They could be entry-level jobs for kids in high school or summer jobs, but we need jobs right now in the valley. And I'm really concerned about Commissioner Wong. I don't know if she has an issue with the developer or she just doesn't want growth for our community, but we need more tax revenue. And I'm really concerned about our valley and the deficits that we could potentially have. And I really think the developer has worked really hard. My brother-in-law, he's a firefighter for San Ramon, lives in Browns Valley. He commutes down this corridor, and there's no gas stations on the south side. And we'd rather keep the money for the valley than give it to Vallejo. No offense to Vallejo, but it's tough times. People need jobs. And I just don't understand why Commissioner Wong is always trying to look for different things to go after the developer. And I'm worried he's going to sell this property and then go do something else because I don't know if he owes money on it, but I'm worried that we could lose this developer who's invested so much if we're difficult. And one of the most frustrating things is that we keep delaying stuff. I just don't understand that. And it's not you guys, but it's other governments from federal to state to local. I mean, we need to make a decision. And it's really disheartening because I'm sure he has a family. And if he's paying money for this land
please wrap up.
that he can't use, it just, what does that show for our community? I get we don't want to be overdeveloped, but there's a need for this. And we need to be a little bit more pro-business and a little bit friendly to developers, especially what we just went through with these horrific fires. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Jones?
So far, we have no more additional comments. If you are on the line and have not spoken and wish to, I have one more. I have Brian. Brian, I am unmuting you. Please begin speaking. Brian? Brian, you have been unmuted. Your hand is raised. Please begin speaking. Brian going once. Going twice. I am showing that your microphone has been unmuted, Brian. You can speak. All right, Brian, we will come back to you. If there's anyone else on the line who wishes to speak, please raise your hand. We have no more comments, Chairman Goff.
I believe we did receive an email from Napa Valley Bike Coalition. Is there a way we could get that read in?
I did not receive the email through comments. Mr. Cooper, did you receive that?
I have it, Nicole. I can forward it to you. Hold on.
Actually, William, if you'd like, since you have it, in the interest of time, you can read it in and forward it to me.
Good call.
So you would like me to read it?
Please.
If you would, please.
Okay. All right. So this is an email from Mr. Patrick Brand, the CEO of the Napa County Bike Coalition. Dear City staff and Planning Commissioners, I am writing this afternoon to express my thanks and appreciation to the City staff for their time, attention, and responsiveness to our concerns about bike and pedestrian safety around the project. Since the Planning Commission first heard this project a month ago, we've had numerous phone and email discussions and have been able to work collaboratively toward our shared goals. As outlined in the updated agenda packet for tonight's meeting, nearly all of the concerns identified by the NCBC staff have been addressed, including providing Class 2 bike lanes on Lombard, improving pedestrian access to the project with an additional walkway, adding Class 2 bike lanes on westbound Napa Junction Road, and the addition of bicycle parking racks. I just spoke with the Public Works Director, Mr. Rick Kaufman, and we agreed that the city would take on the additional task of adding Class 3 bike facilities, Sharrows, to the eastbound Napa Junction from Teresa to the end of the city right-of-way approaching Broadway, Highway 29. This addition will ensure that bicyclists have established facilities for travel both east and west on Napa Junction, a critical connector to existing and future shopping and jobs. We once again wish to thank city staff for their time and attention to our concerns. Thank you, Patrick Brand.
Thank you, William.
Chair Goff, we have an additional person who has raised their hand.
Good. Go ahead, please.
And this is Breck Nelson. I have asked you to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Just wanted to say, well done on the presentation, Mr. Hillesheim. I'm in favor, like the other callers. It was really well thought out. One thing I agreed with Andrew on is maybe some signage would be good, but overall, I really liked what I heard. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Jones?
There are no more comments at this time. We do still have two people who have not spoken, so if you wish to raise your hand and speak, please do so now.
We also, I have an email that we received from Ms. Donaldson.
Yes, would you like to read that? I have that as well.
Yeah, it's a nice short one.
So this is from Liz Donaldson.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'll read it in for you.
Okay.
So from Liz Donaldson, simple question: has there been a traffic impact study of what effect it will have on the traffic that is already an issue using our streets to avoid the highway? And I believe that traffic impact study was included in the packet today, so there is evidence of that, and it was already addressed in comments. So I feel we've addressed those matters. Our speakers come online, or?
No additional speakers. Nobody else has raised their hand.
Well, we're going to go ahead and close public comment at this time. We're going to move on to commission comments. So we're going to go through our commissions again. If any comments you may have, final comments, we're going to reverse our order. So we're going to start with Commissioner Wong.
Chair Goff, would it be okay if I ask the applicant just one follow-up question about traffic?
Sure. I'm sure he'd love that.
Thank you. Mr. Hillesheim, or maybe your associate associate may want to answer this. Back to the table that one of the people making a public comment referenced, the table 7, the trip distribution assumptions. They were talking about the to and from and whatnot and the wording. I'm not so much concerned about the wording. I understand what it was meant to convey, but I am curious. This table here, so for example, it shows to and from, Eucalyptus Drive, and it's showing 26 trips in the AM peak hour and 24 trips in the PM, just as an example. So this was actual current analysis done based on the 2018, highway data, but looking at our actual roads? I mean, like a current study?
This is Ross, the applicant. You know what? Good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I know that Daleen does.
Well, I'm not sure I understand the question, but I'll try. The data we used for the analysis starts with existing actual data. The project trips are assumptions based on we discussed with city staff about how to route the trips. It also has a lot to do with the directionality of the commute periods. That's why we don't always separate AM from PM and do them differently. Usually we have the same distribution for both, but in this particular case, we actually have a different distribution for morning versus evening because there's different directionality.
Okay, so I was just asking that this was like current. Someone went out and looked at and analyzed the road uses and how they were likely to turn. I mean, based on like current conditions. That's all I was asking.
Yeah, to the best of our ability, we try to base it on current conditions. I mean, it's always a matter of projecting into the future and making our guess of what might happen. But we do use current data to look at how much traffic is going in which direction to try to make those estimates.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask because we did have an email come in about traffic and you had that nice table there. So thank you very much.
Certainly.
So I guess Chair Goff, back to Commissioner discussion. I do want to say again, reiterate, I do appreciate all the thought that has gone into this. And I know from the last discussion we had, I had several concerns about this project, not necessarily the applicant per se. I have found, I've only had interactions with our applicant, through our meetings. And so I have no bias against you or your company. My concerns mostly are just about the type of project. So I just want to make it clear that it's not leveled against one individual or one company. It's just the type of project this is. And my wish as a resident of American Canyon that the Broadway District specific plan develops into something that we all enjoy for many years to come. I sort of feel that it's going to take a number of years for this to fully develop. It could be 10 years, it could be 20 years, it may be longer. And as was already noted, we already have several legacy properties, as they're referred to, that have businesses there that may not reflect the current zoning that we want to see in the Broadway District specific plan. So when you couple that with the fact that we already have 3 gas stations in American Canyon, and if you count the one that's nearby in Vallejo, that would be 5 gas stations and 2.4 miles. And that just seems like a lot to me. I know that our businesses have suffered during the pandemic. And so how does it help support our existing businesses to add yet more competition? Because all of those gas stations have convenience stores or a grocery store. We already have convenience stores, 2 7-Elevens that already operate 7x24. And there's one, that one of them is pretty close to the applicant, not that far away. So, I want to support our existing businesses. I want to be fair to them as well. And I do recognize that this is an opportunity for jobs for our city. But I also want to point out that this is a business park. And as defined in the Broadway District specific plan, they intended that to be something that would create employment opportunities around offices. And certainly office type jobs or a business use type job, there's a potential there that's going to be a higher paying job, potentially with more career type opportunities than may be available from working the retail end of a convenience store or as a gas station attendant. And I'm not putting down those types of employments. That's honest work. And I fully support, honest type jobs, but I'm just saying from a employment type perspective, office jobs, business type jobs may have more, career potential. And that's something that we talk about, that we want, good jobs for our citizens so they're not always on 29 commuting somewhere. So that's one of my chief concerns with this project. And also just the fact that when I looked at the Broadway District specific plan, when it talked about the business park, it said it wanted to encourage professional office uses, a limited range of retail and service commercial uses that are oriented to the day-to-day needs of the local residents at a scale compatible with adjacent neighborhoods. So there's a gas station just on the other side of 29. And just having 5 gas stations within 2.4 miles, I don't see how that is serving the residents of American Canyon. To have that, to add yet another gas station really is serving, the commuters, the people passing through American Canyon, and that's fine, but is that really the purpose of what we want for our Broadway District specific plan? So I would just kind of throw that out there for food for thought. And, I look forward to hearing what my other fellow commissioners have to say about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wong. We move on to Commissioner Navarro.
I have no comments. I think it's a well thought out plan. To the point of Commissioner Wong, I actually think that it's a better use of space to have this be a gas station on that side of the road. And I like the concept that was mentioned last commission meeting by Brent. It's kind of like a bookend. And it is, when you measure the distance, it isn't that far, but it is, but it's not like you walk down that far. It is a farther than I think people realize. It doesn't seem like just a mile away from the next gas station. So anyway, I'm satisfied and I am in support of the project and would like to see it move forward. And I think it'll bring good economic vitality, and I think it'll match the areas and services that are adjacent to it.
Thank you, Commissioner Navarro. We'll move on to Commissioner Milari.
No further comments on my end. Just you did a great job. I really appreciate it. Just like you're mentioning, Commissioner Wong, we just need to make movement and traction. We're building homes. We're growing bigger. We need to provide these resources as well to not just our commuters, but also to the residents. If you take a look at the locations of the gas stations, they are, they could be right across the street, but if you take a look at what we have at Safeway, every time I go to the Safeway gas station, I'm always with 5 or 6 cars in the back. I have yelling kids in the back or whatnot. Sometimes I drive over to the one at the corner on Arco or 76. And mind you, how many stalls? There's like 4 or 6 that are out there too. So just congestion overall. I think this is a great move for American Canyon. We bring in these resources, and then, like you mentioned, additional resources will come in, like a grocery store or any other developer that would think that, hey, this is a booming city. Let's invest in that. So I'm for this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Milari. Commissioner Altman.
Thank you, Chair Goff. Got a few comments. One, again, I want to thank the developer and the city staff and the team around the developer for putting in a solid effort to deal with a lot of the questions and concerns. And again, I'll say, this is what a continuance in my mind is all about. It gives the opportunity for everybody to address concerns, and I think it worked very well in this case. In terms of this project, I look at a few specific factors. One that I think we all need to be cognizant of. One, on the south side, southbound direction of 29, the only gas station in American Canyon is the Safeway gas station, which is at the other end. And so it ties back to Director Cooper's comments from the last meeting last month about bookending. And I do think that makes sense. Yes, there are 3 other stations. I believe it's 3 on the northbound side, but those are a little more difficult to get to. Next, and even more importantly for me, is this property is not an easy property to do something with. It is a very, very challenging property, given its location, given its shape, given its size. And while I think it would be wonderful to do all sorts of other things with this property, the reality is they're not going to work. I think that, in my mind at least, the project as it's being proposed, especially with the additions, and working with the Bicycle Coalition, is fabulous. And some of the extras that have been thrown in, like the maintenance spot, as a unfortunately, I have to say, somewhat former cyclist. I'm hoping to get back on the bike as my kids are getting older, that maybe I can ride with them these days. But I think that's a extra terrific little piece. And I just think that, for better or worse, a gas station at this site is probably the best use for this particular property. Now, that said, and I'll jump out in front of it. There are a variety of other applications, and I'm not going to prejudge and determine, and make any decisions on an application that hasn't been vetted and so on. But I do not want to see our community be, as someone else said, the pit stop for the valley. So I mean, it's this station at this spot, I think, is the right thing. And I will say that on this point, I gave a lot of consideration to Mr. Hillersheim's fellow developer, Mr. McGrath, and his comments about the fact that this group develops high quality properties. And yeah, it's a gas station, but if you've looked around and you've been around and you've seen, gas stations can be developed in very different fashions, and some are much better in terms of how they are put together than others. And this appears to be one that is going to be in that nicer category. So at this point, I'm on board with this. I think the concerns have been, the only thing that hasn't been addressed that is impossible to fully address, because only time is going to tell, is the left turn issue and the, I'll say, possibility / likelihood of traffic departing, choosing to go through the city rather than back onto 29. But I think that's something that if we discover is happening as a city, there are measures that we can take to try and address those concerns should they arise. So that's sort of my take on it. And at this point, I appreciate the efforts, appreciate city staff, appreciate the developer and his team. And that's my thoughts and my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Altman. My turn. I get to jump in here. And the nice thing is I don't have much to say because Commissioner Altman did a very good job covering my broad swaths of comments that I had. Almost everything positive in nature. I really appreciate the city staff and the applicants working together. I really appreciate the time, the last 30 days since our continuance, and the effort that went into addressing all of those concerns that were brought up by our public. And I think an exceptional job was done there by everybody. I do also share with Commissioner Altman is, I think for this piece of property, the uniqueness of this piece of property, the shape of this piece of property, the location of it, that while a business office building, something like that is in the Broadway specific plan, I don't think there's a reality of that coming to fruition, just because of some of the aspects of the piece itself. I think the applicant has a wonderful project he's presented to us. I think it meets all the little checks that we're looking for. He presents himself very well, presents the plan very well, has demonstrated his willingness to work within the community, has demonstrated his willingness to be part of our community. Chamber of Commerce is behind him. So at this point in time, I have no concerns at all moving forward with this property or with this project. So with saying that, I was wondering at this point in time if there is any actions that the commission would like to take.
Yes. Long pause there. I will make a motion that we approve a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of American Canyon approving a conditional use permit for development of a 5,187 square foot convenience store with a 5,053 square foot gas station canopy on a 2.25 acre site at 112 Lombard Road in the Broadway District Specific Plan area, APNs 058-081-007, 058-081-003, and 058-320-013, file number PL 20-0010, with an additional modification that I will let our city attorney and city staff determine how and where to word and place, but that signage around the wetlands area be provided as an additional condition of this approval.
All right, we have a motion.
Can I ask a question? Hopefully it's not too late. Eric, I liked your suggestion you did last time about the Amazon warehouse about preferential hiring. Do you want to add that in as well?
Sure. I can add that, or you can add that. You sort of just did, as far as I'm concerned. But I'll with the motion also add that a best faith effort for local hiring preference be included as well.
All right, so now we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second. Can we do a roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Altman.
Aye.
Commissioner Milari.
Aye.
Commissioner Wong.
I still have my reservations, but I've listened to my fellow commissioners, and due to the uniqueness of the site and all, I will vote yes, so we can be unanimous.
Vice Chair Navarro.
Aye.
Chair Goff.
Aye. All right, thank you. And thank you for the applicant and his team for coming forward and presenting to us. Greatly appreciate your time and energies on this matter. We are going to be moving on to the next item on our agenda, which is business. I see nothing listed under the business items. So moving on to the next item is staff items, which is 6.1 active planning projects. Mr. Cooper.
All right. Thank you, Chair Goff and Planning Commission. And I should say William, has been very busy from the Community Development Department on a variety of discretionary projects. I won't go through all of them, as I try not to do at this meeting. I'll just go through the highlights, maybe some new things that have happened since our last meeting. And to that, I direct you to your attention to page 953 of your agenda packet. Scroll. And so we have some new applications that were newly submitted. And the first one on the list is a gas station. It's just too ironic, I suppose. And this one is, we talked about this. It's one of the pre-applications that we talked about before, has come forward with the for real application. It's a use permit for a 7-Eleven gas station over by the Walgreens. And so there's an empty pad there. So it's newly submitted. We will be sending them comments for the first review soon on that one. Ultimately, should it go forward, it'll come to the Planning Commission for a public hearing.
So, Mr. Cooper, on that one, is it just an extension of the existing 7-Eleven, or are they adding on, or is this a totally separate business?
I believe it's branded a 7-Eleven gas station, so it's a connected business-wise with the convenience store. It's a freestanding canopy. So, in where there is an empty pad now.
Thank you.
And the second item is the first of its kind. This is a conditional use permit application for a bed and breakfast in Vintage Ranch. Unlike other areas of the city, Vintage Ranch is part of a specific plan called the Southeast Area Specific Plan, which comprises what we know today as Lavigny and Vintage Ranch. And the specific plan was approved in 1999, and it allows a conditional use permit process for folks to use their home as a bed and breakfast. And so this is a new application. William has been working with the applicant to define what they mean by a bed and breakfast. It could mean a variety of things. And so we're just getting a clarification of that. And so it's just a brand new, it's a new application. Let's see, the Watson Ranch single family project, that's one that we had submitted last time we met. And we provided comments to the applicant, and we have on our calendar this to come to the Planning Commission for your November meeting. So at the next month, we expect we'll be able to bring it to you. The applicant would like to begin construction in the spring. So, and these would be really the first homes in American Canyon Vintage Ranch was approved in the early 2000s. So it's been a very long time for a new subdivision. I want to fast forward on to our building permits up there on page 960. Scroll. And this is the Sdg Warehouse 330 building. That one has its final occupancy. There are 3 tenants in that building, and we have building permit applications for 2 of them, and the third one, the application was just approved, and that's an extension for Wine Direct. So I guess they've outgrown the building that's fairly new there on Green Island Road, and they'll be occupying space in this building as well. The other area we'll have an update for you is a few pages past that. The personal cannabis cultivation ordinance. This is reasonable standards for growing cannabis inside a home or a accessory structure in the backyard. That is a separate part of the municipal code from the zoning ordinance, so it went straight to the council. And that was approved for second reading at Tuesday's meeting this week. And then along with that in hand is a resolution for an enforcement process and fine structure. for that. So that's hopefully all the cannabis ordinance work we'll be doing for a while. And
now,
things
can I just ask questions about that in relation to, my understanding is, if I'm reading this, it's is this about personal cultivation at a home, at their house?
That's correct.
And that's
the
limited
stated,
by the law. Is that not limited by the law at 6 plants or something like that, if I remember correctly?
It is. And so the state initiative that allows 6 plants inside a home or accessory structure in the backyard also says that cities can apply reasonable standards. And so this ordinance is does that. In some cases with building permits and zoning, it's reiterating existing regulations that we already have. But one of the benefits of this is a communication tool, so that if people would like to grow cannabis inside their houses, they kind of know what's expected of them to maintain it in a safe manner. And so all the other jurisdictions in Napa County already have an ordinance. We're actually, usually we're ahead of the game, but this time it's good to follow the rear. It's okay to go in. So we have our own ordinance as well now. And the police chief is really one that's is concerned about this, because we've had, while not frequent, there have been some situations where cannabis cultivation has been commercialized in houses, and those can represent some very unsafe conditions. And so not only do we have an ordinance that goes with that, but we have an enforcement structure with a fine structure to deter that kind of behavior in American Canyon. A lot of times folks that are considering illegal activity will look at the ordinances and the fine structures and go to the places where there isn't one. They know that you'll maybe get a slap on the hand if it happens. So we now have something in place here in American Canyon that helps to protect residents from commercial activities. And along with that is a tool to help folks who are just growing it for their own purposes, how to go about doing it safely and what's expected.
Thank you.
The other item I wanted to raise is we're reactivating our general plan update committees. We're kind of getting that sort of woken up again from being a bit of a slumber over the last 6 months as we all cope with the pandemic. We're hoping to be able to schedule some meetings for the end of the calendar year. We'll be in communication with our consultants and the department heads who are also spearheading this and getting something meaningful and useful to get us back on track. So,
as a follow-up on that, these meetings ourselves, since our county has now moved into the orange criteria, is there conversations around bringing us back live and in person?
We haven't thought about that. The orange is still fairly new. We need to understand what that means. I know certainly for the business community, it's been a concern because the rules have ebbed and flowed. And in some cases, I remember watching the news last night, Santa Clara had an easing, but then again, the state said yes, but the county said no. I don't know. I don't know about you, but these Zoom meetings seem to be working well. And the challenge that we want to make sure that we do right is that we organize them in a manner that we are able to communicate and provide information meaningful and so we can have productive meetings, because it is nice to get together in person. But by the same token, if we challenge ourselves, we can still do it remotely. But I want to make sure that when we're doing it remotely, we're doing it in an intelligent manner that is useful to folks, that we can get a lot out of our meetings. So it takes maybe a little more time to get the logistics set up so that we do it right and not necessarily fast and unsatisfactory.
Brent, when did you say you anticipate that the meetings would start up again?
We'd like to do it before the end of the calendar year. I know with the holidays, it's going to start getting hard. And we have furloughs that are centered around holidays, so there are fewer working days in the next few months than in a normal month. But it would be really great to be able to organize something before the end of the calendar year. I think that would feel right.
Okay, thank you.
And that's my update. Unless you have any questions on the rest of the sheets. Update. I just want to give my gratitude to William. He's doing a great job. He's juggling a lot of things, and it probably doesn't feel comfortable with the pace and the number of things, but he's really doing a terrific job, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Brent. I just want to say that since you mentioned the SDG 330 project, it is finished, but it's also the bike lanes finished there too.
Oh, that's right.
So you guys can check it out. So
yeah, I just went out there. As a matter of fact, I didn't ride it. I walked across it. That's nice. Path.
And for those of you thinking of starting again, it's a nice short distance to try out. Close to home.
It's flat, Eric.
Flat. Just take the Bay Trail.
You mean I don't have to go up Cookie Hill?
I have to go up Cookie Hill.
You might be attacked by turkeys and deer.
Oh yeah.
Yes, there are the turkeys over there. Yes.
So keep an eye out.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to commissioner items. And following my little path here, we're going to start with Commissioner Milari. Any items?
I have no items. Thank you.
Commissioner Navarro?
I have no items. Thanks.
Commissioner Altman?
I have an item. I am going to encourage people to, if they haven't already, but to get out there and vote. And if you are an American Canyon resident, I'm hoping that you will vote for me for city council.
That it?
That's it.
Okay. And Commissioner Wong?
I wanted to share a good little update. Some of you may know that we've been working on a speed study for Wetlands Edge Road because of all the traffic problems we've had, the speeding problems. Some of you may know our neighbor Arvin, his dog was killed in a hit and run in the crosswalk last year. We got the pilot traffic calming project installed, and Rick and his team with the chief, they did a new speed study, and they're now able to use radar to do traffic enforcement on Wetlands Edge Road. It passed on Tuesday. And the chief had his crew out there today, and they're already stopping speeders on Wetlands Edge Road, and they've got radar to back it up. So very excited about that. He said they stopped like 6 or 7, his team stopped like 6 or 7 people today. And, you know, they were not doing over 40 miles per hour, but hey, posted speed limit is 25, got to start somewhere, spread the word.
Well, I'm happy they started that today, considering schools are opening next Monday and children are now going to be transitioning back and forth to the middle school and the elementary schools in that part of the city.
Yeah, and I'm thrilled. That's great news. And you and Chris deserve big kudos for pushing this issue. Really great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
And my only comment was, again, I mentioned, you know, schools open on Monday here in the city. Hope sure everybody's very cognitive and aware of that and adjust our driving patterns and our, I guess, speed patterns, making sure that our children are safe as they return back into the schools. So that's all I have. So we are adjourned at, what time we have? 8:24. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Have a good evening, guys.
Bye.
Bye.